They, by the committee's own criteria, should be in the CFP. And they should be in the CFP over Miami and Notre Dame. That may sound insane to you, and I would not have taken this position, but I talked to a good friend of the channel and someone who's more knowledgeable than me, who's smarter than me. And after him and I had a conversation, I thought, okay, yeah, they should be in. And the biggest reasoning is actually the schedule. So look at this schedule here. Like Portland State, Stanford, East Carolina, that's nothing special. I know the close win at Colorado was kind of disgusting in hindsight, but again, hindsight. They beat Colorado, West Virginia, Arizona, Utah, Iowa State, TCU, Cincinnati, UCF. Cincinnati, Iowa State, TCU, Utah, Arizona, all have winning records. That's 5 teams that they've played in conference that have winning records. Arizona is ranked top 25 and they're power rated top 30. TCU is probably power rated top 35 or 40. They're 8-4. And Utah is 10-2 and power rated top 15, top 10, depending on where you look. Texas Tech is power rated top 5, and I know they got destroyed by Tech, but often teams that are not top 10 get destroyed by the top 5, regardless, because of the almost exponential increase in talent from team number 10 to team, say, number 3 or 4. That gap has shrunk a little bit, but it's still a pretty steep curve that looks as exponential. And then when you get to like the top 4, maybe now top 5, it curves back and levels off a bit from 5 to 1. So those top 5 really tend to scale well, or not scale well, but they really tend to beat down those teams that are not quite in the top 10. BYU just isn't quite there from a power ratings angle. From a resume angle, though, playing Tech twice, that's a chore. And Tech is a team who can win it all this year. Beating Utah and Arizona is huge. Beating TCU in the fashion they did is huge. All of that results in a strength of schedule that is ranked 35th, ahead of Indiana, Ohio State, Ole Miss, Texas Tech, Notre Dame, and Miami. And they have the same record or better record in terms of wins and losses than Ole Miss, Texas Tech, Notre Dame, and Miami. They should be in the playoffs by that alone, because teams that have identical or worse records than them that are ranked ahead of them do not have the same strength of schedule. And that's more important than strength of record, which we'll talk about that in a second. But before that, they have 3 quality wins in my mind. Utah's a big one. A win that is just good, but not great. We have 2 of those. Arizona, who's 9-3, and TCU is 8-4. The quality losses component is the blowout loss to a top 5 Texas Tech team that we've already talked about. This channel will make you a college football expert and help you enjoy watching games and make more accurate predictions. So what are you waiting for? Like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, comment your thoughts, and watch the video all the way through so that you can get the full package. And check the description and pinned comment for more ways to help yourself and this channel. Is a team that can win it all. They are so good defensively, and you played them in their house to where they are basically a top 5 team, especially when healthy. And therefore, since you are not top 10 in power ratings in roster adjusted for performance, you're probably going to get blown out by that caliber of team. But the playoff isn't 4 teams or 6 teams or 8 teams. It's 12 teams. And 11 of those spots go to almost exclusively the Power 4. So is BYU, from a merit-based angle, a top 11 team? Well, I would say, yeah, they are. Their strength of record's top 10. Their strength of schedule's ahead of a lot of teams that would be competitors for some of those final spots for the road game slots. And your 13th game is going to be against another top 5 team. Same one earlier in the year, Texas Tech. And I thought that we shouldn't punish title game participants. Wasn't that the narrative last year with SMU being in over Alabama? Wasn't that the narrative? It was. And I actually kind of agree with that in a lot of regards. I actually agree with it more this year than last year because BYU this year has played a much tougher schedule than SMU did last year. Alabama, I'll say this here, Alabama last year had a stronger argument to get in over SMU than Notre Dame or Miami have to get in over BYU this year because of that strength of schedule difference and component. Also, BYU this year is probably just as good as that SMU team last year from a power ratings angle. So that then strength of schedule really takes over to compare the two in their situations. Ultimately, we shouldn't have a 12-team playoff, and I've said this before. It should be 8 teams or it should be 16. At 16, BYU's definitively in, and any team like them is definitively in. Because a team with an 11-1 record and a strength of schedule that tough is never left out of a 16-team playoff. It's just impossible. Or it should be an 18 playoff where BYU's probably left out unless they win. And in an 8-team playoff, occasionally a very strong 10-2 team gets in. But most of the time it's conference championship participants as half of it or a little bit more than that. And then really good teams that got left out and they're mostly 11-1 or maybe a really tough 10-2 team that had to go through one of the hardest schedules in America. In that case, BYU's left out unless they win, in which case they'd probably kick Texas Tech out of the 8-team playoff, or maybe not because Tech's power rated that high and was ranked 5 entering the conference title matchups, or now they'll be ranked 4. Now they'll be ranked 4 since they were 5th in the college football playoff rankings. But those are my thoughts on BYU and why they should be in the college football playoff, I think pretty firmly. Win or loss. I think the only factor that should keep them out to this point is they lose somehow by 50, say. Like really bad blowout loss, but more so than that, because what they did in the regular season should not be impacted by the conference title game. That should kind of be assessed on its own. More importantly, if somehow they don't have a head coach for the playoff run, then at that point, I could understand that. But as currently constructed, they should firmly be in the college football playoff. Thank you for watching. It's my mission on College Football with Sam to make you the most informed, knowledgeable, and entertained fan as possible. We aren't perfect, but we hit the nail on the head more often than we hit our thumb with the hammer. Make sure to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, comment, and if you're here, you've probably already watched the whole video. So thank you for doing those things.